My brother just lost his home over in the Altadena fire, and now I'm like, oh my God, now it's my turn.
A terrifying sense of deja vu as high winds drive new fires in Southern California.
I don't understand what's happening. We can't get a break.
Firefighters are starting to get the upper hand, but a new threat is around the corner.
TikTok is back.
Plus, we're talking about moves from the White House aimed at big tech.
This will help solving many issues, difficult things that otherwise we could not have solved with the power of AI.
This is CBS News Bay Area with Elizabeth Cook.
I'm Ann Makovec, and President Trump is going big on big tech. His inauguration was a who's who of Silicon Valley, with the CEOs of Apple, Google, Meta, and TikTok all there. And he wasted little time announcing billions of dollars for AI and giving a lifeline to TikTok. So what is this signal for the rest of President Trump's term? We're going to have that conversation coming up in just a few minutes. But first, let's go to Southern California, where we are continuing to follow the fires. Crews now getting the upper hand on that Hughes fire north of L.A. Evacuation orders have been lifted for tens of thousands of people near Castaic Lake. That fire exploded in size yesterday, torching nearly 16 square miles. That is about half the size of Concord, but containment is now up to 24%.
I can't officially say that it has been stopped in its perimeter yet, but it's slowed way down. It's looking really good.
But they are not in the clear just yet. A red flag warning for Southern California has just been extended through tomorrow morning. So we have another night of tough conditions. That Hughes fire is one of at least 8 fires in Southern California right now. It's burning in rugged terrain about 40 miles from the devastating Palisades and Eaton fires. To date, firefighters also battled the Laguna fire west of Los Angeles near Oxnard. It sparked at around 8:30 this morning and grew to about 50 acres in less than 2 hours. That rapid growth forced evacuations at CSU Channel Islands. They have luckily since been downgraded to warnings, and the campus has reopened. Fire crews have stopped forward progress of that fire. Another fire erupting overnight. This is on the rugged Bel Air hillside. Drivers on the busy 405 freeway stopped to watch the flames as they raced up the hillside near the Getty Museum. The Winfield brush fire, dubbed the Sepulveda fire, burned about 40 acres before crews were able to stop that from spreading. Meantime, Governor Newsom just signed a $2.5 billion fire relief package. That is for the entire Los Angeles area. The money is going to go to response efforts, including shelters and cleanup, and an additional $5 million will go toward rebuilding homes and schools. Well, some rain is in the forecast this weekend for LA County. That at this point is really a double-edged sword. It's going to help with the firefighting effort, but it's also raising concerns about possible mudslides and flooding in the burn-scarred areas. The Trump administration facing the first legal hurdle in its attempt at ending birthright citizenship. Federal judge ruled that Trump's executive order was, quote, blatantly unconstitutional. Natalie Brand explains where it goes from here.
A federal judge is temporarily blocking President Trump's executive order seeking to end birthright citizenship for undocumented migrants. In court Thursday, the judge said, "I've been on the bench for 4 decades. I can't remember anything that presents as clear as this. This is blatantly unconstitutional."
Obviously, we'll appeal it. They put it before a certain judge in Seattle, I guess, right? And there's no surprises with that judge.
Attorneys general from several states mounted this legal challenge, arguing birthright citizenship was established by the 14th Amendment.
On Capitol Hill, the president's allies doubled down on Trump's executive order, introducing a bill to make it law.
I'm predicting and forecasting that when this gets to the U.S. Supreme Court, the U.S. Supreme Court's going to rule that this particular piece of legislation is constitutional.
President Trump, speaking virtually to leaders at the Davos World Economic Forum, talked about his increased enforcement at the border.
Have deployed active duty U.S. military and National Guard troops to the border to assist in repelling the invasion.
CBS News has learned Marco Rubio will likely make his first foreign trip as Secretary of State to Central America to discuss migration and visit Panama, with Trump suggesting he'll retake the Panama Canal. It's an issue Rubio addressed at his confirmation hearing.
The Chinese basically have effective control of the canal anytime they want.
Trump is also threatening tariffs against China. He told leaders at Davos Chinese President Xi Jinping called him, Trump saying he wants fairness and a level playing field.
Well, during his speech, President Trump talked about the $500 billion that will be invested into artificial intelligence in the U.S. He made that announcement earlier this week alongside tech leaders from OpenAI, SoftBank, and Oracle. He says the three tech firms will create a new AI infrastructure company called Stargate. OpenAI Sam Altman says it's going to be a game changer.
I believe that as this technology progresses, we will see diseases get cured at an unprecedented rate. We will be amazed at how quickly we're curing this cancer and that one and heart disease, and what this will do for the ability to deliver very high quality healthcare, the costs, but really to cure the diseases at a rapid rate.
Oracle Chairman Larry Ellison says the first data center is already under construction in Texas. One skeptic of the project is actually Elon Musk. The tech CEO and one of Trump's closest advisors wrote on X, quote, "They don't actually have the money," a claim that Altman countered. The president continued to prioritize AI with two new executive orders today. One is aimed at revoking past government policies that, quote, act as barriers to American AI innovation. The order does not name which existing policies are hindering AI development, but calls for an action plan within 180 days. That comes after Trump repealed the Biden administration's guardrails for fast developing AI technology. Today, President Trump also signed an order to boost the United States' role in the cryptocurrency industry. It establishes a working group made up of senior government leaders to make recommendations for a new framework governing crypto. They will also study the potential for a strategic reserve of digital assets. President Trump has made technology one of his top priorities, you can see, since taking office. Coming up, we're going to ask about some of the potential impacts on our everyday lives and what's ahead for a little thing called TikTok. We'll be right back. Negotiations are underway to keep TikTok running in the United States. That's according to a board member for the app's parent company, ByteDance. Not long after taking office, President Trump delayed the enforcement of the TikTok ban for 75 days. That comes after the Supreme Court upheld a law banning the Chinese-owned platform on national security grounds. The Trump administration says it'll evaluate TikTok's efforts to mitigate security threats. The law had called for ByteDance to divest from China by January 19th. TikTok said a sale wasn't possible in the 9-month time frame it was given. So the app went dark for several hours over the weekend, but when it came back, it greeted users with a message that thanked President Trump's efforts to restore it. That happened before he was even sworn into office. Big question remains, does the president have the power to suspend a federal law? We heard from an intellectual property attorney who says this issue goes further than a social media app.
There's not a provision for that, and that's going to be kind of open this up possibly to a constitutional challenge, whether this is really a violation of the separation of powers between what the president can do versus Congress. And this could be seen as possibly the president going beyond his powers.
More than 150 million Americans use TikTok. We heard from a local influencer who said the move is simply political theater.
It felt like a very low effort, heroic effort from Trump to just say, hey, the app is closed. Oh, now I returned it again because his name's on it saying President Trump has restored TikTok again. So it just seems very performative.
In fact, the ban was actually promoted by President Trump in his first term. He has since changed his mind, obviously, about TikTok after gaining support from a younger audience through the TikTok app. Well, joining me now is Dr. Olaf Bro with the Haas School of Business at UC Berkeley. Thanks for being here. Lot to unpack.
Oh, I would say so. Yes, most definitely. Look, I mean, Trump is buying himself some time to find a deal, and he's doing this with two objectives in mind. Number one, extracting maximum value for the people that helped him come to power, and those are some of the big, tech billionaires. And number two, he's trying to communicate to President Xi of China that he's going to use this as a negotiation chip. So I think he's going to use these 75 days to find a deal so that this thing does not end up in court, because not only does that present an intellectual property free speech challenges, but also a challenge on the national security front, because our court system has upheld the fact that this this that TikTok does present a national security challenge on behalf of which the ban is justified.
Okay, and I know there's been a lot of focus on TikTok, but I mean, taking a look at the broader situation here, we're seeing a major focus on technology from President Trump. 3 executive orders just today. What does that say? Is this money? Is this technology? What is he going after here?
Yeah, it's definitely all of the above, and it is geopolitics and the national economic and political competition against China, right? So President Trump needs big tech to compete against China. AI, data, emerging technologies are very much at the core, more than ever before, of national economic competition and national security negotiations with China and other powers that we're competing with. And so he needs big tech and he needs big money in order to spend on big tech. And so that is also why you saw a lot of these billionaires showing up at the inauguration.
So let's focus in specifically on artificial intelligence, because it's something that frankly creeps a lot of Americans out, the potential out there for evil. There's also the potential, of course, for good. But the fact that this is now being so intertwined with the government, what is your thought on that?
Well, there's the obvious potential for conflicts of interest, right? We have already seen that these tech billionaires showing up, announcing investment consortia such as Stargate, right, with Oracle in the picture, with OpenAI in the picture, and then of course Elon Musk with his own venture interests. That those tycoons now have outsized influence in Washington, so that is definitely something to watch. And we have to start to get used to the fact that artificial intelligence and data is becoming an instrument of national policy and of geopolitics. And so this phenomenon is here to stay. This is clearly the greatest growth engine of the future, and governments are betting big on it.
Yeah, and it is such a formative time for the technology. So his power during this time period really, I guess, carries extra weight.
Well, yes. So President Trump has put this front and center on his agenda by inviting these tech tycoons. He sent 2 kinds of messages. Number one, to the public and to Congress, that big tech is a part of his top agenda, right? Rather than placing his own appointees or Supreme Court judges or his relatives in the first row of the inauguration, the main hall in the inauguration proceedings, he placed big tech executives. So that's a political signal internally, but it's again also a signal to President Xi by saying, look, I have all these tech executives bending the knee, of course, in the hope of not being overregulated and not having antitrust measures incurred. And that's an awful lot of firepower. These are the most powerful companies in the world. And we saw that Vice President of China was at the inauguration. I think clearly understood that signal.
All right, and I want to touch very briefly on cryptocurrency, because I know he's working on a group to try to rein in some of the regulations there. What does that say when we're talking, the president is one of the richest people in the world, and he's dealing with some of the richest tech companies in the world. When they're dealing with the money market, what concerns might we have?
Well, look, this is clearly establishing a parallel financial system. There are positive aspects, such as greater diffusion of ownership and of governance potentially. This is, in fact, a bit of a governance revolution, because it's not just about the coin, it's also about the technology underneath a blockchain and decentralized finance. So from that angle, there are some positive aspects to it. And the United States, unfortunately, has been surprisingly closed to sanctioning and supporting, I should say, those technologies here, first and foremost, out of Silicon Valley.
Okay.
And so that is good. But then, of course, this does present some governance challenges, because it will need to support U.S. financial power around the world. And hopefully the administration will be smart about making that happen.
Okay, we will continue to watch it, and always appreciate your perspective, Dr. Olaf Bro.
Always good to be with you. Thank you.
Thanks for watching. You can always get all the latest headlines and weather over on Pix Plus. And remember to like and click the button on the bottom left of your screen to subscribe for the biggest Bay Area news.